Alright, and welcome everybody to another exciting installment of Age of Empires Deathmatch brought to you by AOC Realm. And AOC Realm is putting on a very nice tournament called Masters of Deathmatch. And right now we have two players, L3af against MIK Bouncer in the second round of our tournament. And right now it's going to be a best of 5 format where we have L3af starting off as the Chinese, I do believe, and we have Bouncer starting off as the Goths. And as the tournament, as the rounds go on, we're going to see both players swapping and swapping. So we're going to have Bouncer in the next game. We're going to have Bouncer being the Chinese and L3af being the Goths. But if we're just going to start off in this game, and since we have so many games coming up, I'm going to try to get through these as fast as I can. Maybe a few highlights of certain games, because I do believe the deciding match, Persians against Persians, is going to be around a 2-hour game. So we're really going to try to speed these games up here. And we do have MIK Bouncer starting off with a typical rush from the Goths, which is easily understandable considering that they are the Goths. And we'll just take a quick little look at his base, just streaming those units as fast as can be, having only having 4 barracks and just streaming those units as fast as ever. He's got a few trebs coming up the way, but L3af's doing a great job at withstanding that initial attack. Got a ton of siege weaponry on the way. Those camels trying to defend himself as much as he can against those Goth unique units. And Bouncer is also doing a great job, but if he wants to do anything, he's gonna have to switch up a few units. Just having that one unit type is really not gonna play in his favor, considering that the Chinese have such a wide variety of units that are at L3af's disposal. And as you can see, L3af is doing a little bit by sending a few camels down there, just trying to stop any kind of economy that he can, just a little bit, just trying to harass those villagers as much as he can. And the Bouncer's doing a great job at starting those farms off early, knowing that the Goths are going to be very expensive on his food. And as you can see, we're on L3af's resources right now, but as you can see, Bouncer is all the way down on his food right now, only down to 500 pieces of food. That's why you see him starting his farm so early. But what he's doing, he might be using up his resources and really killing his army, but what he's doing is making it so he can capture most of the map, and he's keeping L3af as pinned back in that little corner as he possibly can. Now, he is out of a good portion of his resources, but he can hopefully gather those back before L3af's going to be able to mount any kind of counter-attack. And as you can see, he's just ripping through those farms, trying to gather as much food as humanly possible. But L3af's also doing a great job at not just counterattacking his main forces, but counterattacking and raiding his resources that he knows that Bouncer's probably used a good portion of his farm, so he knows that if he just walks anywhere on the map, anywhere past the halfway point of this map, he's going to find farms, and that's what he's trying to do, just kill a few villagers. And right now we have pretty much an even game, even though it doesn't look like it. Bouncer doesn't have many units right now, but it's because L3af was able to kill a good portion of his army, but he's not really moving up too fast, so it's kind of it's going to be hard to tell who it's going to play in favor of. If L3af would just move a little bit faster, he'd probably be able to catch Bouncer well off guard, and he's actually doing that just right now. That's going to be a big damper on Bouncer's plans right now, but he is going to be able to counter that fairly easily, sending a ton of his units. And he's also keeping a well-known presence up at the front lines of L3af's base, but L3af is trying to counteract that by sending his massive siege army to another portion of the map and trying to take him out on more so the left or bottom side, as you would call it, of the map. And let's see, we also have a little mini fight going on here for the very, very corner of the map. And Bouncer is now sending a trebuchet towards that castle and that town center. And what that's good, it's going to be a little bitty gold pile and a relic. So that portion of the map is somewhat valuable. And as you can see, both players are kind of just protecting that relic right there, trying to keep either one of each other from getting those. And it seems like Bouncer was attempting to grab those relics, but wasn't being very successful at it, considering he has 2 monasteries up and no relics inside of it. And here we come, L3af coming on down Bouncer's resource pile. And wow, if this is not a big humongous turn of events, I don't really see much units from Bouncer's So this could be, if Leaf is able to push him back quick enough, this might be the game, considering that Bouncer has no military units whatsoever. But as we all know, the Goths, just like that, you can make a half dozen units from the Goths in just a split second's time. So as long as you have those resources and you only have one barracks, you're still in the game. One barracks is probably equal to any other civilization's 4 to 5 barracks at producing units at a high rate of speed. I'm pretty sure they're the fastest unit that you can create, just within a lightning fast. We're going to try to skip. This is such an exciting game. We'll probably just watch this entire game. Fuck the highlights. Wow, and there we are. Bouncer was able to destroy Leaf's entire army. So here we go on Leaf recreating an entire another army. And as you can see, Bouncer has his resources aren't doing great, but they're not doing terrible. Just a fair amount of each. Pretty low in the wood. His food is rising rapidly, so he's doing really well there. Continuing to pump out those military units. Anticipation that Leaf is going to have a secondary army quickly. And as all of this is happening, as we're seeing jumping back from battle to battle, we have a battle at the top portion of the map, and a battle at the bottom portion of the map. And you see Leaf was able to just take out one of Bouncer's castles that are on the front lines. And it seems like Bouncer's going to be attacking back here. If he's able to really, the difference is if Bouncer's able to take this portion of the map right here, as he's doing right now, that is going to be Leaf's main economy right here. And that's really going to put a hurting on him. It's going to take him a while to get all those villagers back to resourcing. And he is sending the trebuchets in, but after all this, Leaf is kind of just trying to do as much as he can by sending his units and trying to do an equal act, but he's going for the wrong side. Not really much economy going on this side, and I don't know how much that siege is going to do against that size of a Goths army. It's going to get ripped apart pretty easily. And there we are, game's over. Leaf has resigned, and that was a great game by both parties. We're going to jump on into the second game, and see you there. All right, and welcome everybody to the second game, where we're going to go ahead and have both of our players, Leaf and Bouncer, go ahead and switch their civilizations. And just so anybody who doesn't know, that is going to be leave Leaf with the Goths, and it's going to leave Bouncer with the Chinese. And in the last game, we were able to see Bouncer initiate a extremely hardcore rush with the Goths and take Leaf by surprise, but Leaf was able to counterattack that on 2 separate occasions to where it almost looked like Leaf was about to win our game, but in the end, Bouncer was able to come back, or not so much come back, but he was able to win the game. And we're going to see if he is able to also win along with the Chinese, which would be sealing him a 2-0 for this best of 5 for round 2 of the Masters of Deathmatch, brought to you by AOC Realm. And as you can see, it's pretty much starting off just as the last game was, but I feel like Bouncer has a little bit more of a defensive style base right now. He's not leaving his enemies in the front line, such as how in the last game Leaf was really leaving his siege weaponry up in this front row of the battle. As Bouncer was leaving his siege behind buildings and such, really giving him a really good defense with those units. And as you can see, he's doing a really great range and variety of weapons. A difference we are seeing right here, Leaf with the Goths is deciding to use those champions opposed from the Goths' unique style of unit. Huskarl, I'm pronouncing that wrong. Let's see, getting off track here. Both players doing a really great job. But it looks like, just from a sheer army size, it does look like Bouncer has a little bit of an advantage, and especially with Leaf's army streamlining into Bouncers with those siege. That siege is just going to be ripping those champions apart, not really leaving him with much. He does have a few units raiding, but that's really not going to do much also for him. And as you can see, Bouncer was able to capture that market. I'm not sure if he sold his wood for gold. Not really sure of that, considering he is the Chinese. He is using a ton of wood. He might have actually done the complete opposite by selling a lot of food for his wood. That might have been that might have been a strategy more understandable, considering he is a civilization of the Chinese. Both players doing a really good job, but it does seem that Bouncer does have the larger army. But one thing with having such an army created of Siege, it is going to be a little bit slower of a game. He's going to have to take his time, and he's not able to separate his armies as easily. As you can see, Leaf has a little bit more of a separation with his armies, and that's available to him because he has they're a little bit faster and a little bit stronger. And Bouncer has to keep his armies pretty much together in one massive attack. And we do have our first relic captured by Leaf, second relic captured by Leaf. Bouncer, for our resources, he's doing really well on his gold. His wood is starting to diminish a little bit, but it's not really too necessary considering he is the Chinese. The main things I would think you are going to need for the Chinese are going to be your wood and your gold. But he is going to have to keep an eye on that food, making a few farms, about 12 or so farms. Leaf is doing a great job harassing that side of those villagers, but just since he has Bouncer has 2 of those castles and a few town centers, leaving, so he's well protected. He's got his gold pile well protected, his wood resource well protected, but Leaf has a couple of barracks up there that's just able to keep reducing those units down there. Sending units, keep sending them in, and he's also attacking from the bottom, and he looks like he would normally have a little bit of an army up here, but it was actually destroyed, and he's going to just start gathering that gold. Both players doing really well at controlling both their sides of their army. Since we do have too many battles at the top and bottom of the map, both players are doing really well at multitasking their resources and multitasking their armies. And it's just, this is what I consider one of the better kind of games that could possibly be the outcome. And there we are, have a GG. Leaf is able to defeat Bouncer, and now we have a tie game, 1-1. Both players winning with the Goths, both players losing with the Chinese, and we're going to go ahead and jump into the next game. Alright everybody, and welcome to our third game. This is the best of 5. We have Leaf and Bouncer both playing the Mayans right now, and we're going to jump right into it. I'm not going to probably be able to bring you the whole game. We're going to try to just bring you the highlights as we can. This should be the first 5 minutes, just hitting the 5-minute mark. And we have Leaf being a little more aggressive right now, having his units at the very front of the base, and it's going to be really hard for both players to kind of do an initial attack right now, considering with this civilization, with the Mayan civilization, both players are going to have a good amount of castles inside their base, so any kind of rush is usually pretty foiled from that strategy. And right now we just have a big, massive, just everything going on at once type thing, and we have Bouncer now pushing his army, taking out as much of Leaf's as we can, making it so Leaf has to push all the way back into his army, and he has a few different things spread out. A clever little town center built with one of the piles with a wall blocking it, so he's not really able to be attacked, so he can get as much of that gold as possible. And let's see, we have both players having their archers all at the top side of the map. Not really much going on right now. Bouncer is bringing those warriors all the way up, and both players are converging their main armies to the top portion of this map, and we have Bouncer about to take out that castle, and that's going to be big doing. That's a great defense for Leaf right now, and without it, he's going to have a little bit of a problem defeating that army, even though both look pretty even right now. I'd say that both players need to start collecting relics right now. The Mayans being a civilization that are more so expensive for the wood and possibly the gold.